Hi, this is Lori from the amazing social media strategy team. In this video, I'd like to introduce you to the exercises and how to use them to enhance your class. Specifically, I'd like to preview how the class exercises enrich the learning experience, an example of how you might conduct the exercises, and what principles guide the inclusion of the exercises in the course. In terms of how the exercises enrich the learning experience, one way is that they create a deeper understanding of the course concepts. It's one thing for students to understand something on a surface level, just enough to get it right on an exam, but it's another matter for them to understand it on a deeper level, where they can actually put the concept to use. For example, students might know that companies make money on various platforms, but not realize how that influences the posts that they are reading. The exercises also facilitate learning from different perspectives and viewpoints, because the discussions that emerge encourage students to debate and to reconcile potentially conflicting points of view. They also provide a launch pad or a platform of understanding, which will help students to more easily tackle the more in-depth major assignments. The exercises are we consider them an intellectual stepping stone for the more challenging major assignments in the course. And just to review, we noted in the course overview video that one suggestion is for the class exercise component to consume approximately 1/3 of the course time. So let's drill down a bit into how to manage this portion of the class. So here's an idea about how to go about conducting the class exercises. Let's talk about how you can set the stage. Well, you'll want to review the purpose and instructions which are included on all of the exercises, and then direct them to how you'd like them to work, either individually or in a group, and reiterate that these help to reinforce as well as to apply the chapter concepts. So the students go to work on the exercise. You might want to walk around to help them focus their attention and, if needed, add a bit of direction. And depending how they've completed the exercise, now's the time for them to share their thoughts with the other members of their group. And each group will appoint a spokesperson, and that person then reviews the responses from the group and comes up with a reasonable level of consensus, so that he or she will be ready to report some of the group's results. Then, as the team reports, you can keep track of their results, their ideas, on a whiteboard, and ultimately compile the areas on which all or most of the teams agree and the areas on which they don't agree. And then some questions to clarify or to provoke deeper thought. For example, if they overlook a potential audience, let's say that they omit identifying the executive team or CEO, you might probe by asking about the issue from the perspective of that audience. To wrap it up, you'll want to first summarize areas of agreement, link the exercise back to the chapter and how it enhances the key concepts, and also point out that it's a building block for future work. For example, there are some exercises that could serve really as a first draft or as a feeder piece for a major assignment. One example is a most likely ML plus or minus reasoning. There's an exercise that really feeds in well to a major assignment. And also, if there are disagreements or areas that are unclear, these will be addressed or clarified in upcoming chapters. So here's an example of the exercise from Chapter 1. Specifically, it's designed to prompt discussion about the difference between a personal and professional perspective of social media. But more broadly, like all the exercises, it's meant to cultivate critical thinking that students will master by the end of the class. For example, the idea of the trade-offs of costs and benefits of social media and how to measure effectiveness. In this case, we call it the ROI, which you'll see throughout the book. In this instance, the instructor might lead a discussion about how statements about political events, which is in the content column, could potentially undermine relationships or create an echo chamber of responses where you tend to only listen to viewpoints that agree with your stance. The exercise continues, but shifts focus to the organization's perspective. In this case, the person chose her university. The exercise could prompt a discussion about the challenge of finding relevant content to address each audience, or the need to have someone in the organization to develop and monitor content. How a social media manager could demonstrate the value of social media to his or her boss or to the executive team. These are all emergent issues from the exercise and represent major themes developed in the course. So what principles guide these exercises? For one, debates need not be contentious. They can be transformative by either clarifying ideas or misinterpretations. And it's much more powerful for students to have that aha moment that emerge from self-discovery, because discovered truths tend to be more learned truths. So it's best to let the students come to grips with the concepts on their own and then provide a clarifying summary at the end. And finally, analytical experiences cultivate the strategic mindset. Thinking strategically requires merging and prioritizing often conflicting perspectives, and exercises that are properly managed cultivate that process. Here's an infographic about the 5 C's that can be incorporated into many of the discussions about the exercises. The repetition of seeing the 5 C's is helpful for student learning, and this can be found on the book's website. I hope this helps you create a wonderful and enriching learning experience. Bye for now.